Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and today is Sunday of the London Royal Ravens home series. We're going to talk about some phenomenal matches to finish off the weekend just in a few minutes time here. But first of all, plenty of other interesting topics to discuss, mainly among which being the weapon meta changes that happened a few days ago, and Dashy, now with the FFAR back in hand, wondering whether that could potentially find its place in the meta. It's really take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Lionman, the stage 2 cards for Atlanta FaZe. Green across the board right here, but insert and destroy 0.94, 0.9, 0.79%, 0.74 for Arcitys, not something you see every day. With 2-Buck Thuglord now on the team, and of course the regression to the mean that we expect FaZe to have in Surge, we're thinking this stage could be their bounce back stage. I mean, they came second at the last stage, but they do play their first matchup later today. That's why I thought I'd mention it now, up against the New York Subliners, that new squad with Hydra in. That's going to be a great matchup to see, and also Dallas Empire play later today with their new team without Huke. Speaking of Atlanta FaZe, I thought this is kind of funny, playing on the good old OpTic neutral host really gets the mental fortitude going. Wait for each other, we need 3 people to kill Dashy, saying whatever host they were playing, these OpTic scrims that I guess they were playing last night on, they were having a difficult time getting past Dashy. Word on the street is Tyler that big, aBeZy still asking MC that big Cellium for help on trying to get those kills. And speaking of Dashy, of course, GG Seattle 1-3-0, by far the worst server we played on this year, sheesh. Kind of funny that last night they were complaining about the server, given the fact that the night before, that's when, they played the Ravens, and that's where they had that crazy map 1 where it was lagging all over the place towards the end of the game. But speaking of Dashy, of course, the FFAR has always been a big discussion with Dashy. Right at the start of the season, he was, doing absolutely phenomenally with it. Then, then effectively, I think it got GA'd by the pros for a bit because it was too good. And then, then it actually got nerfed so it was no longer any good, and therefore, no one used it. However, they brought it back slowly over time. They reduced the nerfs somewhat over a little bit of time, buffed it a little bit, and then people were saying, okay, is it back? Is it back? And then we used it for a little bit, and we kind of realized, okay, maybe it's not back. And now they've buffed it again. But it seems to me that this buff is actually a really small deal. I'm not actually sure how much difference it's made, but just maybe placebo in people's mind thinking that it's changed has got people using it again and realizing, hang on a second, the FFAR actually could be viable in certain circumstances as that kind of flex weapon, right? It's a weapon that you would love to see on certain maps. When, okay, the Krieg is super good now, the 74U probably getting worse with this new update, and the FFAR could fit quite nicely into that kind of, flex role in a sense, being the kind of do-it-all weapon, which isn't necessarily a do-it-all. I mean, it's pretty damn good up close, certainly. At long range, not necessarily so much. But it's kind of that mid-range AR weapon that you might actually quite like to have in the meta, which, who knows if it'll actually be in the meta. I would love to have a personal preference situation where maybe Dashy really likes the FFAR, other players don't necessarily like it so much, and they decide to still use 2 Kriegs on the map, but some people maybe can use the FFAR to a good degree in certain situations. I believe some of the OpTic guys were saying on the podcast recently that actually Envoy's been trying out the Milano on certain maps like Rage, for example, because having an SMG that can actually beam people off the headies like the Milano can, actually pretty viable. So who knows whether, OpTic start putting out this crazy meta where Formal's got a Krieg out, Dashy's got an FFAR out, and then on Rage you've got, Envoy with the Milano and Scump with the AK-74U. Who really knows what's going to happen there? But thought it was pretty interesting to look at regardless. And then Dashy started streaming last night and was playing some 8 series using the FFAR to great effect. I'll share a couple of clips on screen for you guys here in just a second. This was back in December when he's saying, look, best FFAR gameplay worldwide. I think when it got the initial re-nerf or something like that, or when it got the initial rebuff after the initial nerf, or whatever exactly went on, he was using it and saying, okay, maybe this could be viable. And now they got an additional buff just a couple of days ago, changes to the FFAR Krieg and AR barrels. The Krieg didn't really change too much. This is what happened to the FFAR then. So reduced recoil penalties on the Task Force barrel attachment. Now, I'm not sure the pros actually use the Task Force, because I went through Dashy's clips from last night and I found one where he was showing off his class that he was using, and I think he was actually using the Ranger barrel, which seems to be what most people use on most of the ARs. So I'm not even sure he was even using the Task Force barrel. This, of course, was banned off the AK-74U earlier in the season because it did so much more damage, but maybe it's something to consider actually to actually get this recoil reduction, because I don't really think anything has changed on the other attachments. So maybe it's just placebo stuff that people are now using, because the other stuff is to do with ADS speed penalty on certain rounds at max. But there are some small buffs here and there to other things as well, but not necessarily to recoil unless you are actually using this Task Force barrel attachment. But I'll show a couple of clips from you guys of Dashy using it from last night to good effect, and then one from Exclusive Ace basically saying that nothing was really changed on the FFAR, but maybe it's just in people's head that they think it's got a little bit better, but with the 74U maybe getting worse, it actually could be viable regardless.
Let's see. Oh, wait. Is it actually disgusting? I can't side cancel. Why am I trying to do it? Alright, ammo. Wait, is the fall actually disgusting now? I need to get him some long range fights with it. That's where it kind of sucked before at long range. Oops, stop shooting. Yo, Dashy is about to be hype for sure. He loves his gun. Yeah, the side cancel super gone. FFAR doesn't have that much recoil at all. Yeah, I don't think it has that much recoil. It's definitely better than before.
Square cross? Square cross. One more square cross, square cross, guys.
I'll get square, I'll get square. I'll get it out. I need that. Yeah, I'm gonna hit, I'm in.
Got you.
Yo, one's in lights.
Lights, guys.
Lights it out.
Yo,
one guy crossing P5 and one's lights.
You
guys think it's gonna be a far meta? We'll have to see, bro. It might be, actually. Let me see if I can zap someone right here real quick. Might be meta, I don't know. We'll see.
Looks like Krig got a buff on headshots. Yeah, but it was also a nerf to base damage, and it cancels it out. It's still 2 shots to the head, 2 shots to the body for a 4-shot kill. Exactly the same as pre-patch. So, effectively speaking, nothing changed with the Krig. Same thing goes with the FFAR. Nothing changed with the base gun, and like sure a couple attachments changed, but it was really like nothing.
Now, some players aren't certainly convinced. I mean, we saw attached in that clip saying Dashy's certainly going to love this. But this is from FeLo, of course, now going to be starting in the Dallas Empire later today in, well, very exciting fashion. I really want to see how those guys get on up against Toronto Ultra to beat them, of course, at the major. This was kind of funny from FeLo because people were asking him, oh, get the FFAR out to give it a go. And then, well, he tries it, get absolutely bodied and was like, yeah, this gun is not the wave. Let's, well, put it back in the bin, get the Krig back out. And that's what we're thinking tonight, that FeLo may well be on the kind of, well, flex roll on this team, the second AR. That might be the solution to the Dallas Empire, but it's tough to say exactly whether this team gets better. I mean, dropping Huke and getting better is certainly a hard ask for these guys. Wanted to mention this as well, a few of you guys were pointing out to me a couple of days ago. This was after the Paris Legion played their first match of the stage. Of course, last night they lost to the Los Angeles Guerrillas in pretty disappointing fashion for them. But this is what Temp said and then soon deleted just after. Only one more stage of this depressing online BS, and my brother, that being Huke, gets benched. Unbelievable. He will be fine, but good heavens, I'm just going off the rumours. If we got more online past this stage, then good heavens, bro, I cannot take this any longer. But what he's saying really up top here is, of course, one more stage of this depressing online stuff, then we are back to LAN. So saying that, look, this is stage 3, that's going to be the last time we're going to have online stuff, then we're back to LAN. However, well, I mean, this isn't necessarily fully the case, because I expect at stage 4 playoffs, hopefully, there is a LAN environment for the stage 4 major. But is it going to be, well, I imagine this is still the group play for the stages, are still going to be done in an online environment, probably for the rest of the season, and probably into next season as well. Who really knows? Because we did see that, well, announcement from the CDL not too long ago saying that they were certainly considering having a more online presence within the CDL going forward into the future. So, you know, Temp is effectively saying right here that LAN should be back for stage 4, but whether it's back for all of the matches or just for the majors, which I imagine is what it'll be, that's, well, more likely to be the case. But thought I'd mention it for you guys regardless. Definitely something else to mention as well is this from NaTJhaLy a few days ago now. So as Enable says, yo, Slasher, Karma, played the next challengers thing with me and Zuma. No practice required, just a little, you know, AW FaZe / OG vibes from back in the day. And as NaTJhaLy says, if I'll play if one of them does not. And NaTJhaLy necessarily, well, he hasn't necessarily held up so many of his bargains that he's made these last couple of years. Maybe this one will come true. Cannot tell if you are capping or not. I am not standoff, raid, express, back in business. Just tell me what attachments we need and what guns we are allowed to use, and let's rip it, says NaTJhaLy. So I wonder when standoff actually will arrive. I've been really looking forward to it arriving, but I thought it was going to come honestly on April the 22nd when the new, well, the stage dropped or whatever, or the new season dropped, but that wasn't the case. And it's coming, I don't really know if they've actually announced when standoff arrives, but it's probably in a couple of weeks' time. And then that's when I guess the amateurs are going to start playing on it for some of these challenges tourneys. That's maybe when NaTJhaLy is going to try and make a reappearance. Whether it will happen or not, who really knows. And then probably from stage 4, the pros will actually start playing on it, then it get added into league play. So it's still going to be quite a while away till we actually get to play standoff in a competitive fashion, but it's, you know, not too long away now. At least it is announced and just around the corner. I believe it's like one of the points of interest or something in the Warzone map now, or or something to that effect. Thought this was pretty funny from Nadeshot as well, because credit to CDL Intel tweets us out. Nadeshot making his return in challenges. Nadeshot enable Zuma and Slasher. The entire community would put Nade in a body bag. You are hammered. Scump comes in the reply. No respect for my round 11 play calls. If you guys know this, well, pretty famous clip actually. Zeta puts it right here from a back in Ghost up against Complexity when Nadeshot made this crazy, well, 4-hit red on offense play call that worked out in the end for the OpTic guys. Maybe something we'll have to revisit at some point in a 3 minutes in COD history or something to that effect. Also thought I'd mention this that was leaked a couple of days ago. These are the player stickers in the game right now, which, well, I think they've been found in the code. They haven't been released yet or anything. They look basically identical, I think, to the World Championship ones from last year. And we guess, well, it's kind of funny that they've been around so long that we've got Temp right here, who's obviously no longer on this team. We've got Slasher as well, no longer on Los Angeles Thieves as well. Bans, of course, for the Ultra. So this is kind of what they look like. They're kind of nice, but I don't think there's the OpTic ones here yet, which is kind of confusing. Like this time last year, or not this time last year, but for the World Championship last year where they did similar things, I think OpTic were also late for some reason. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but these are the ones, if you guys want to check them out, or at least are excited for when these do arrive. And let's talk about the games then for later today. Some very interesting ones indeed. And honestly, yesterday, the matches were so influential. I mean, honestly, every single match is so influential for how these groups are going to play out. But Florida beating Minnesota was massive. And the first upset as well with the Los Angeles Grillers beating Paris, that could have a lot of implications. I mean, all the matches are very important right now. So first up, we've got Thieves versus Royal Ravens. I mean, Ravens are just in such a tough spot, man. They played OpTic the other day. They actually didn't look awful, but they're only on 30 points in the CDL right now. And I mean, they're basically destined to not make it to the World Championship, I think, at this point, especially with how hard their group is, because now they play up against the Thieves, a Thieves team that did very well a couple of days ago when they played their first matchup, getting the reverse sweep onto the Seattle Surge. So I think the Thieves will probably come in and win this one. But then we've got FaZe versus New York Subliners, very exciting series. These guys, I'm pretty sure they actually played the first matchup of, well, they played each other first in their first game of Stage 2, and now they play each other again first here in Stage 3. But different lineups now for the New York guys. Hydra is on that team now, so very excited to see how this team manages up against very tough competition, of course, in Atlanta FaZe, looking to, well, start their campaign out on a good note to, well, win this stage and get back on top form. I think it really is the search and destroy, which is, well, if they do improve quite significantly in that game mode, that is going to be something which is going to take them over the line here in this stage, just like it was back in Stage 1. And now with the final matchup of the day, Toronto Ultra versus the Dallas Empire. This is a phenomenal one. Very much looking forward to this one, because at the major, these two teams played up in the losers finals. Empire fell short to Toronto Ultra in that series. That, of course, was when Huke was on the team. Would not have expected here coming into Stage 3 that now we get a situation where Huke is not on the team, but that is indeed the case, and they will be playing up for the first time tonight with FeLo up against Ultra. That is not an easy matchup by any means. Ultra have been looking very solid. They looked great a couple of days ago when they beat the Florida Mutineers in that first matchup they played on Thursday, but now we get Dallas with FeLo. Will they get a honeymoon period? I mean, Octane was talking about the honeymoon periods yesterday that some of these teams are getting. Not always the case, because Paris haven't really seemed to have gotten one. Maybe Dallas Empire will improve somewhat with this team, but it's just crazy for me to imagine that a team without Huke could be a long-term solution. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I'll grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you guys as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.